earthquake, and volcanic eruption video making tutorial.
Magandang araw mga puso. Batid kong karamihan sa ating nanonood ngayon ay may kaalaman na patungkol sa o natawag na lindol. Subalit naririto ako ngayon upang palawakin pa ang ating kaalaman patungkol rito. Ano nga ba ang earthquake o lindol? Ang lindol ay sanhi ang isang mabilis na paglabas ng enerhiya na nanggagaling sa ilalim ng lupa. Madalas, ang malindol ay sanhi ng paggalaw ng fault sa ibabaw na bahagi ng mundo or crust. Ang enerhiyang lumalabas ay sumasanga sa lahat ng direksyon mula sa kanyang pinanggalingan, ang focus sa anyo ng sismikong alon. Ang anyo ng mga sismikong alon ay may lintulad sa anyo ng payapang tubig na hinuhulugan ng isang bato. Kahit na ang enerhiya ay mabilis na nababawasan habang ito ay papalayo sa focus, may mga sensitibong kagamitan na nakatalaga sa iba't ibang panig ng mundo para itala ang mga pangyayaring may kinalaman sa pagyanig ng lupa. Earthquake is a sudden result release of stored energy in the earth crust that creates seismic wave. It is caused by a sudden slip on a fault. The tectonic plates are always slow moving, but they get stuck at their edge due to friction. Meron ding autonomy of an earthquake. Ano ba ang autonomy of an earthquake? An earthquake is the shaking of the ground caused by stored motion along faults or fracture in the earth crust. Alam naman natin kung ano yun. So, number 1 is fault. Fault is a fraction in the rock that make up the earth crust. The second is epicenter. Epicenter is a point at the earth's surface directly above the focus. Focus, the point within the earth wherein an earthquake nurture start or a rupture start rather. Plates, massive rock that make up the outer layer of the earth surface and whose movement along fault trigger earthquake. The last one is seismic wave. Waves that transmit energy released by an earthquake.
So in an earthquake, there are two ways to measure the strength of an earthquake. So this is the magnitude and the intensity. So lately, we're experiencing powerful ground shaking. If you can still remember, on October 16, last 2019, we experienced powerful ground shaking, especially in the island of Mindanao. Do you remember when Mindanao hit by a 6.3 magnitude earthquake last October 16, 2019, and on October 29, just 15 days after the 6.3 magnitude earthquake, Mindanao was hit again by another 6.6 magnitude earthquake which damaged several properties and injured several individuals. In just barely 2 days from that powerful earthquake, and people were still traumatized and very devastated by a 6.6 magnitude. Another 6.5 magnitude was felt, which caused another damages of properties and recorded more injuries.
Folks publish this data in their website whenever there's a ground shaking. Now I want you to observe the encircled portion. It mentions the magnitude of the earthquake. Observe also those which are encircled with color blue. It says intensity. Magnitude refers to the amount of strength or energy released by an earthquake at the focus. The focus is the point inside the earth where the earthquake started, sometimes called the hypocenter. And the point on the surface of the earth directly above the focus is called the epicenter. Magnitude is calculated from the earthquakes, recorded by an instrument called seismograph. Magnitude is represented by Arabic numbers. Observe that, regardless of the location of the shaking, the magnitude remains the same. Unlike the intensity, it varies depending on the location. On the other hand, intensity refers to the strength of an earthquake as perceived and felt by the people in a certain locality. It is generally near the epicenter. Intensity is represented by Roman numbers, like these highlighted part.
Types of earthquakes. The first is the tectonic earthquake. Tectonic earthquake. One that occurs when the Earth's crust breaks due to geological forces on rocks and adjoining plates that cause physical and chemical changes. According to the theory, a tectonic earthquake occurs when strains in rock masses have accumulated to a point where the resulting stresses exceed the strength of the rocks and sudden fracturing results. Earthquakes occur along fault lines, cracks in the Earth's crust where tectonic plates meet. They occur when plates are subducting, spreading, slipping, or colliding. As the plates grind together, they get stuck and pressure builds up. So, when we say subduction, it is a geological process in which the oceanic lithosphere is recycled into Earth's mantle or at convergent boundaries, where the oceanic lithosphere of a tectonic plate converges with the less dense lithosphere of a second plate. The heavier plate dives beneath the second plate and sinks into a mantle. The next is spreading plate tectonics. Spreading centers occurs at the boundary between two plates that are moving apart, called divergent plate boundaries. Here, the plate motion opens a gap between the plates and the magma from the mantle rises up through it. Here are some examples of spreading plate tectonics. One example of a ridge is the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, an undersea chain of mountains that form as two pairs of tectonic plates spread apart, the North American Plate and the Eurasian Plate in the north, and the South American Plate and the African Plate in the south.
This is a fissure in Iceland, where two tectonic plates divides two continents. We had to get a special certification to scuba dive in the frigid water 38 degrees. This is me touching two continents at the same time.
Collision of tectonic plates. If two tectonic plates collide, they form a convergent plate boundary. Usually, one of the converging plate will move beneath the other, a process known as subduction. Deep trenches are features often formed where tectonic plates are being subducted.
The second type of earthquake is volcanic earthquake. What is volcanic earthquake? Volcanic earthquake, any earthquake that results from tectonic forces which occur in conjunction with volcanic activity. In addition, a volcano-tectonic earthquake is caused by the movement of magma beneath the surface of the earth. The movement results in pressure changes where the rock around the magma has experienced stress. At some point, the stress can cause the rock to break or move. What is volcanic earthquakes is produced by stress changes in solid rock due to the injection of a withdrawal of magma or the molten rock. So, volcanically triggered earthquakes have the potential to cause cracks, ground deformation, and damage to man-made structures. They typically are much smaller than earthquakes caused by non-volcanic sources. The largest felt volcanic earthquake on the Cascades was in magnitude 5.5 in 1981 under the Mount Helens. So how do volcanic earthquakes happen? Moving magma and volcanic fluids cause earthquakes. They occur in swarms or many earthquakes occurring close together. Before an eruption, they are caused by the liquid magma hot fluids and gases forcing their way through the crust to reach the surface.
I'm Jordan Nilsson. I will discuss the types of earthquake, which is a collapse earthquake. So what is a collapse earthquake and why do buildings collapse in an earthquake? Building collapse is caused directly by the ground beneath them, shaking violently or even splitting apart. For one thing, most buildings are not located right on a fault line, and the shaking tectonic plates go much deeper than building foundations. In fact, the reality of earthquakes and their effect on buildings is a bit more complicated. To make sense, architects and engineers use models like a two-dimensional array of lines representing columns and a single line lollipop with circles representing the building mass. Even when simplified to this degree, these models can be quite useful as predicting a building response to an earthquake. Most collapses that occur during earthquakes aren't actually caused by earthquake itself. Instead, within the ground moves beneath a building it displaces the foundation and the lower levels, sending shock waves through the rest of the structures and causing it to vibrate back and forth. The strength of this oscillation depends on the main factors in building mass, which is concentrated at the bottom, and second is its stiffness, which is required to cause a certain amount of displacement. You might think that the solution is to build shorter buildings during the quake. Many buildings between 6 and 15 stories tall collapse, and a mid-sized building that collapsed were observed shaking for more currently than the earthquake itself. How is that possible? The answer has to do with something known as natural frequency. The frequency, how many back and forth movement cycles within a second, which is how many seconds it takes to complete one cycle. In a building, natural frequency determined by its mass and stiffness. Increasing a building mass slows down the rate at which it naturally vibrate wave. Increasing stiffness make it vibrate faster. Reasons where the frequency of the earthquake seismic waves happens to match the natural frequency of the mid-sized building. Each the additional seismic waves amplify the building vibration in its current direction. While high frequencies of motion pose more threat to structures that are shorter and stiffer, base isolation uses flexible layers to isolate the foundation's displacement from the rest of the building, while tuned mass damper systems cancel out resonance by isolating out of phase with a natural frequency to reduce vibrations. So this is the 3 high frequency oscillations, which is standard model, base oscillations, tune mass danger.
Volcanic eruption. Before we discuss the volcanic eruption, let me introduce first the layer of the Earth. Earth has a different layer, which include the inner and the outer core, the mantle, and the crust. Let's just focus on the mantle and the crust, as this is where all the volcanic actions takes place. The crust is the outermost layer as well as the thinnest layer on the Earth. Right below the crust is the mantle, where temperature can reach up to 1000 degrees Celsius. Due to the high temperature and increasing pressure in the mantle, the rocks melt to form molten rock, or what we call magma. The magma will try to float to the top and seek out cracks and spaces to go into, which can form magma chambers with the right conditions such as extreme pressure, changing heat, and the tectonic activity. The magma can rise through the magma chamber and erupt through the Earth's crust, causing a volcanic eruption. Volcanic eruptions occurs when magma is released from a volcano. Magma can slowly cool and become hardened, or magma with trapped gases can flow and feed a volcano and rise to the surface of the Earth. When magma reaches the surface, it becomes lava. Lava is the melted rock which comes out from the volcano during volcanic eruption. It is formed due to the huge pressure and heat on the rocks below, so it comes out in liquid. Why did volcanic eruption happen? Volcanoes erupt when molten rock called magma rises to the surface. Magma is formed when the Earth's mantle melts. Melting may happen where tectonic plates are falling apart or where one plate is pushed down under another. Magma is lighter than rock, so rises towards the Earth's surface.
During our elementary, high school, and college, our teacher should discuss about volcanic eruption. So there are 3 different types of volcanic eruption: magmatic eruptions, phreatic eruptions, and phreatomagmatic eruption. Magmatic eruptions is ejection ng lava or tipa from a magma source within the Earth. So kapag magsabay yung magma at lava na lumabas, so magkakaroon talaga ng magmatic eruption. For magmatic eruption, it is the new magma is produced on new fragments of preposition solid rock in the volcano are expelled. So groundwater can be often found near volcanic events, and as magma rises to the surface of the earth, it hits the groundwater around coast. Muna siya ang so ang progression po ani is so hindi pa nakangat yung hindi pa nangat mabuti yung magma at saka hindi pa nagdidikit sa tubig, so mainitin ang tubig sa lawa, muna siya ginatawag nga phreatic eruption. Number 3, phreatomagmatic eruptions is a volcanic eruption resulting from interaction between magma and water. So ito yung tubig na mainit na bato na meron sa ilalim ng bulkan na tumataas at gustong lumabas. So, sa tubig sa lawa or isla, nag-contact ang magma at saka dahil mainit yung magma at mas malamig yung tubig, kaya nagkaroon ng explosive eruption. O siya nagkaroon ng phreatomagmatic eruption. So, and just like what happened in 2021 at Bulkang Taal sa Batangas, so 5 beses talaga nagkaroon ng phreatomagmatic eruption. So, nag-interrupt yung tubig at saka magma.
Portals into the heart of the earth, they burn. Bottomless cauldrons fueled by an ancient wrath, bubbling and boiling thousands of miles beneath the surface, and just waiting to burst through.
Hello everyone, I'm Richard de la Corza. And this topic is, what are the different stages of volcanoes? According to the scientists, they have a categories of volcanoes: active volcanoes, dormant volcanoes, extinct volcanoes. An active volcano is one which has recently erupted, and there is a possibility that it may erupt soon. Example of active volcanoes: Mount Vesuv, Mount Mayon, Mount Taal, Mount Abu. A dormant volcano is one which has not erupted in a long time, but there is a possibility it can erupt in the future. Example of dormant volcanoes: Mount Fuji, Mount St. Helens, Mount Ararat, Mount Shatar. An extinct volcano is one which has erupted thousands of years ago. There's no possibility of eruption. Example of extinct volcanoes: Mount Balungao, Mount Banahaw, Mount Bangay. That is about of what are the different stages of volcanoes: is active volcanoes, dormant volcanoes, and extinct volcanoes. Thank you.
A volcano is a vent in the earth crust from which eruptions occur. There are about 1,500 potentially active volcanoes worldwide. When volcanoes erupt, they can spew hot, dangerous gases, ash, lava, and rock that can cause disastrous loss of life and property, especially in heavily populated areas. According to the World Health Organization, there are different types of volcanic eruptive events, namely pyroclastic explosions, hot ash releases, lava flows, gas emissions, and glowing avalanches. Pyroclastic explosion is a fast-moving current of hot gas and volcanic matter that flows along the ground, away from a volcano, at accuracy speed of 100 km per hour, is capable of reaching speed up to 700 km per hour. The next is hot ash release. Hot ash releases the force of the escaping gas violently shatters solid rocks. Expanding gas also shreds magma and blasts it into the air, where it solidifies into fragments of volcanic rock and glass. Once in the air, hot ash and gas rise quickly to form a towering eruption column, often more than 30,000 feet high, and that ash is a mixture of rock, mineral, and glass particles expelled from a volcano during volcanic eruption. The particles are very small, less than 2 mm in diameter, They tend to be pitted and full of holes, which gives them a low density.
Lava flows. Lava flows are the streams of molten rock that pour or ooze from an erupting vent. Lava is erupted during either non-explosive activity or explosive lava fountain. Lava flows are also called clinkers because of their rough and jagged appearance. The next is gas emissions. Gas emissions are the release of gases from the volcano. 99% of the gas molecules emitted during a volcanic eruption are water vapor, carbon dioxide, and sulfur dioxide. The remaining 1% is comprised of small amounts of hydrogen sulfide, carbon monoxide, hydrogen chloride, hydrogen fluoride, and other gas species. Is glowing avalanches. The most dangerous type of eruption is called glowing avalanche, which is when freshly erupted magma flows down the sides of a volcano. They can travel quickly and reach temperatures up to 1,200 degrees Fahrenheit. Other hazards include ashfall and lahars.
Breaking news. Topic: safety measures in volcanic eruption.
Are you prepared?
Here are some volcanic eruption safety tips on what to do before, during, and after. Before a volcanic eruption. Number 1. Regularly monitor any unusual volcanic activity. Be aware of the different places that will be affected by the volcanic eruption. It should be aware of the dangers that volcanic eruptions pose to lives and be prepared to face whatever circumstances the eruption may bring. Number 2. Listen to the radio or people of authority for updates and safety instruction. Number 3. Have an emergency disaster plan in place, especially for evacuation and communication. Your family may not together when disaster strikes, so it is important to know how you will contact one another, how will you get back together, and what you will do in case of emergency. Number 4, prepare emergency supplies like flashlights, candles, matches, and first aid kits. Number 5, stock some food and water. Number 6, evacuate if necessary, especially if authorities tell you to do so. Number 7, prepare masks. These are to be used in case of an ashfall or volcanic smog, which are very harmful for your health. During a volcanic eruption. First, stay indoors to minimize exposure, especially if you have respiratory ailments. Second, wear mask or cover your nose with damp cloth in avoiding inhaling the volcanic ash or dust present in the air. Third, keep your food and water covered. Fourth, stay away from low places. Rocks, lava, and mud flows are likely to flow towards low-lying places. Fifth, if you are staying in the evacuation area, avoid going back to your house while the volcano is erupting. And the last one, always listen to the authorities' instruction and updates. After a volcanic eruptions. After the eruption, first, do not go back to your house immediately. Wait for the authorities' instructions on when it is safe for you to return home. Second, avoid crossing the bridge when lahar, mud flows composed by pyroclastic materials, rocky debris, and water flows under it. Third, when you finally returned at home, safely remove the ash from your roofs if there was. Fourth, check also your drinking water is clear and if the electrical wirings at home are intact and safe. Fifth, if you are able to help people that require assistance like infants, elderly, and the disabled. And the last one, still keep updated for the authorities' updates and follow-ups.